Oh, hello there, non-American. I see that you might have heard that this past weekend was the greatest playoffs weekend in NFL history. And brother, it f***ing was. Alright, quick GBZ recap. All four of these games came down to last-second heroics / shenanigans. Both number one seeds were eliminated. The reigning MVP Aaron Rodgers in his last season in Green Bay, his last dance season, has ended one and done in the playoffs because of a blocked punt. Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, somehow almost came all the way back on the Rams before their defense inexplicably forgot to cover the best wide receiver in the league. Twice! And then the final game of the weekend was the greatest ending to a playoff game I have ever seen. And I'm not being hyperbolous. I don't even know if that's the word. But there is no hyperbooby about this. The final 2 minutes of the Bills versus Chiefs game had an absurd 22 points scored. In 2 minutes, they scored 1 point less than the entirety of San Francisco and Green Bay. In an instant classic, easily top 3 playoff games of all time. There has never been a playoff weekend like this in NFL history. And brother, we still got 2 more weekends left. And now, only 4 teams remain, all playing for the chance this weekend to make it to the Super Bowl. And I'm guessing if you're watching this, you're a little bit of a noob to this whole football Americano thing we got over here. And this is the perfect time to see what all the hoopla is about. Because out of the 32 teams, all the pretenders have fallen away, and the cream has risen to the top. And if you're unfamiliar, the point of this series is to give you just a quick SparkNotes version of what these 4 teams are going to be all about. Give you the juicy storylines going into this weekend, and hopefully by the end of this video, you will be primed and ready to pretend like you know what you're talking about when you're watching the NFL playoffs. Welcome to a Clueless guide to the NFL playoffs. Now first off, to my European viewers, I know there are a couple of you out there, I know the concept of playoffs might be a little bit foreign to you.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs.
But essentially, the NFL right now is in the knockout stages of the World Cup. It's single elimination, 1 game, winner moves on, loser goes home. Which means, just like the World Cup knockout stages, upsets are aplenty. And there's a saying in the NFL, any given Sunday. Any team can beat any other team. And let me make this clear. There is a legitimate case for any 4 of these teams to win the Super Bowl this year. And on top of that, this has been the most chaotic, most wild, most unpredictable year in NFL history, in my lifetime anyway. Now, if you put a gun to my head and told me, all right, you got to bet on one team to win it all, I'm probably taking the Chiefs out of the 4, but I'm not confident in it. And above that, the team they're facing this weekend, the Bengals, they beat them in the regular season. On the other side of the bracket, the LA Rams just took out the defending Super Bowl champions in Tom motherfucking Brady in his house. They took out the GOAT. They've been killing it the last 2 games. But the team that stands in the way, the San Francisco 49ers, have beaten them the last 6 times they've played. And the 49ers shouldn't even be in the playoffs. I don't even know how they're here, but I'll get to them later. Let's just hop into it, all right? Let's start it off by talking about the Chiefs hosting the Upstart Cincinnati Bengals. And for everyone who just wants to hop onto a bandwagon real quick, get this over with. Yeah, the Chiefs are honestly the chalk choice here. This is their 4th consecutive AFC Championship game, and they're here for the 4th time in a row because they have the most talented quarterback that I've ever seen. Yeah, you guys know him, Patrick Mahomes. He's a guy I'm mad at. But for whatever reason, he's kind of struggled this year. He's been missing some passes that are usually gimmies to him, and the team has kind of struggled with drops. But that was in the regular season, and many a great team has had speed bumps in the regular season, and then they flip a switch, turn it on in the playoffs, and win it all. Just look at Tampa Bay last year. Mediocre in the regular season, got hot, won it all. And boy, did the Chiefs need to turn it on this past weekend, because fucking hell, the end to the game versus the Bills, all right? I'm gonna go over it piece by piece because it's just insane how many things happened in those final 2 minutes. The Chiefs defense, which has been sus all year long, goes ahead, spreads open their butt cheeks, and allows a go-ahead touchdown to lose the lead with 13 seconds left on the clock. The game was over. You can't drive the length of the field in 13 seconds. The average NFL play takes 7 seconds. At maximum, you have 2 plays to get at least 65 yards. And 2 plays later, Patrick Mahomes got him in field goal range. It made no sense. Simply absurd. Of course, the kick goes through, and that puts them into overtime. And in overtime, you flip a coin to see who gets the ball first. Guess who got the ball first, boys? Yep, the Chiefs got it first. They marched the ball down the field once again, up against the best pass defense in the league, might I add, scored a touchdown for a walk-off win. Mahomes has not been fantastic all year long, but when his team needed him most, the Avatar returned to save the Chiefs and end the tyranny of Bills fans throwing dildos onto the field. Yes, dildos, or as their fan base lovingly refers to them as, Bildos. So in my opinion, still the best fan base in American sports, hands down, or dildos down. But back to the Chiefs. They should be the favorites going into this. They've been in the last 2 Super Bowls, winning 1. They have Dr. Robotnik as their head coach, and their city's defining feature is delicious, delicious barbecue. The only thing standing in their way of their 3rd consecutive Super Bowl appearance is a team no one saw coming at the start of this season. Enter, stage left, the Cincinnati Bengals. Quick backstory on the Cincinnati Bengals. They have been garbage pretty much my entire life. They've been awful for generations. Truly a painful team to watch. Most NFL fans usually refer to them not as the Bengals, but as the Bungles, because they just always would find a way to lose the game. The last time the Bengals were in the AFC Championship game was 1988. Yes, you heard that right. The same year that the original brick Game Boy was released was the last time the Bengals have made it this far. And they have never, ever won a road playoff game in their entire history until last week, when they knocked off the number 1 seeded Tennessee Titans. And while Mahomes is the most talented quarterback of this new generation, Joe Burrow might not be that far behind. And it has not been easy on young Joe Burrow, not at all. This kid last year in his rookie season had 0 protection, and he was just crushed game after game by monstrous 290-pound linemen. Repeatedly, this man was killed, until finally his knee caved in like a folding chair. It was horrific, and going into the offseason, all the talk was about getting him protection. Somebody protect this poor man. But instead of taking a blindside dude to protect their franchise quarterback, the Bengals went and drafted a wide receiver, a luxury position. Now, the dude they ended up taking, Jamar Chase, was actually an old college teammate of Joe Burrow, where they made sweet, sweet music over at LSU. But considering Joe Burrow's knee, this was quite a questionable decision, because logic dictates you can't throw the ball when you're on your back or your knees caved in. But sometimes stupid works in the NFL, or should I say boldness, because this Chase kid just had the greatest rookie season for receiving yards in NFL history. And he is simply just faster than everyone. He has an extra gear. And a couple times a game, Joe Burrow will just throw it up and let Chase outrun everyone. Or he'll throw it short and Chase will catch the ball and then outrun everyone. Speed kills in the NFL, people. And it looks like the Bengals have absolutely nailed it on their first-round picks over the past 2 years. They have assembled 2 generationally talented players on rookie contracts, and to add on top of that, the other wide receivers are elite weapons in their own right. And then there's Joe Burrow, who, coming off of a catastrophic knee injury, some feared that he just wouldn't be the same, tentative in the pocket, scared to get hurt again. But nah, this fucker has balls of steel. All season long, I've seen him stand in the pocket and take shot after shot. Literally have defenders draped all over him as he's throwing the ball. And what does he do? He just throws dart after dart after dart to every part of the field. This man is a psychopath, working with a knee that probably still isn't 100%, and is now on a historic tear. He's the hottest quarterback in the league over the past month, hotter than Mahomes. No one has played better than him. And the Bengals now walk into Kansas City with a chance to go to the fucking Super Bowl. And oh, by the way, they beat the Chiefs the last time they played. And he's going to be throwing up against a defense that allowed a go-ahead touchdown with 17 seconds on the clock. They're not very good. This has shootout written all over it. Mahomes versus Burrow. Duel of the Fates. A battle to determine which young quarterback will be the boy king of the AFC for the next decade. That all being said, I still give the edge to the Chiefs. Just a slight edge, just because throughout the regular season, Jamar Chase has had a couple of issues with dropsies, and this is Joe Burrow's first time on a big stage. While Mahomes, this is his 4th consecutive AFC championship, he's won a Super Bowl before, and all these small things, they can really make a difference in a big playoff game. And if I were to bet, you usually want to favor the guys who have more experience, who've been there before. But to Bengals fans, or to people looking for a team to bandwagon on, even if Cincinnati loses, the Bengals might have a future dynasty in the making here, because Burrow, Chase, Higgins, all these superstars are on cheap rookie contracts, which means that next season, they could go ahead and spend huge, bringing in elite defensive free agents to go ahead and pair up with their already elite offense. Hell, they might even sign someone to help protect Joe Burrow. Bengals vs. Chiefs might be the next great rivalry of the AFC for the next decade. And if you start watching this weekend, you could say that you were there from the beginning. You saw the first matchup between the legendary Joe Burrow versus Patrick Mahomes. So get it on the ground floor, people. And then there's the other side of the bracket. In the NFC Championship game, we got an all-California affair. It's going to be the Los Angeles Rams versus my beloved hometown San Francisco 49ers. And so let's go with the Rams first. And the thing you got to know about the Rams is they have recently moved back to LA. And ever since they brought in their new spiffy young head coach Sean McVay, they've been one of the best teams in football. And they're quite a unique team because their team building ethos is quite different from most teams around the league. The majority teams like to build through the draft to get those cheap contracts. But the LA Rams, they live in Hollywood, and they only want one thing in Hollywood: stars. And they'll pay any price for them. That's pretty much what this team has done. They have completely mortgaged their future, throwing away all of their draft picks for the foreseeable future to bring in big name after big name. Now, to their credit, they did go ahead and draft Aaron Donald, who is perpetually a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. But from that point on, they traded away 2 first-round picks to pick up Jalen Ramsey, who's arguably the best quarterback in the league. And this season, they somehow had enough assets to trade for Von Miller, who's the best pass rusher of his generation. And that's just on defense, because on offense, they went ahead and upgraded at quarterback this year, signing the bazooka-armed Matt Stafford. His arm talent has unlocked the ability to attack all parts of the field, and that has taken their offense to a new level. And then, somehow, Odell Beckham Jr. becomes a free agent and signs with them. How the fuck does this happen? Oh, and the guy that's already on their team, Cooper Kupp, just broke the single-season record for a receiver in Rams history and is a legit MVP contender. How the hell can they pay all these stars? Who cares? It's Hollywood, baby. We'll worry about that shit next year. This is the definition of an all-in year. Ring or bust. And they just went through Tampa Bay and knocked off the GOAT, the greatest of all time, Tom Brady, in his house. They are the most talented team left in the playoffs, and multiple times this season, they have looked like the best team in the NFL. If they make it to the Super Bowl, I could easily see them beating the Chiefs or the Bengals. And that is if they make it to the Super Bowl. Because the only issue is the team that stands in their way, for whatever reason, is their boogeyman. Because they have lost their last 6 consecutive meetings up against my beloved hometown San Francisco 49ers. Now, as a fan, you can believe me when I say that the 49ers have no business being here. No, halfway through the season, they had lost 4 straight. They sat at 3-5. They were left for dead by everyone, myself included. But they didn't quit on their coach, and they somehow scrapped their way back into wildcard contention. They've basically been in playoff mode for the past 2 months. And on the final game of the season, they had to somehow pull off the second biggest come-from-behind win of the year to just sneak their way as the bottom seed into the wild card. Oh, and you want to guess what team that they had the second biggest comeback on? Did you guess the LA Rams at SoFi? Yep, yes indeed. The LA Rams in their own house could have just snuffed out the 49ers right there and then. If they beat them that day, the Niners wouldn't even make it into the playoffs. But instead, they let them sneak in. And once they got in, what did they do? In the wild card, they took out the 3rd-seeded Dallas Cowboys in Dallas, with a little help from the refs. And then, last week, they walked right into Lambeau and sucker punched the number 1 seed Green Bay Packers out of the playoffs. This was supposed to be Aaron Rodgers' storybook last season for Green Bay, his last dance season. And all that is one and done by a blocked field goal and a blocked punt return for a touchdown. The 49ers didn't even score an offensive touchdown in that game. So you can believe me when I say that my beloved San Francisco 49ers are the fucking cockroaches of the NFL playoffs. Nobody knows how they got here. Nobody knows how they keep surviving, but they are here now. And they are seemingly impossible to kill. And now, they march into SoFi Stadium, the home of the Los Angeles Rams. And the extra spice? Guess where the Super Bowl is hosted this year? Yup, the same beautiful, sunny in winter SoFi Stadium. And even though this is technically a home game for the Rams, I'm predicting the crowd will be mostly 49er fans. Why? Because I was at the fucking comeback at SoFi 3 weeks ago, and it was 70% 49er fans and 30% Rams fans. Matthew Stafford's wife went on her podcast and said that the Rams couldn't even hear their play calls because their 49er fans were so loud in their own home stadium. That is embarrassing. And as someone who's lived a long time in LA, I can tell you the reason is because LA sports fans are mostly shit. Now, I'm not saying all, okay? The Mexicans and the nosebleeds, y'all more diehard than me. Respect. But LA has never been a football town. The Rams just moved back only 6 years ago. They don't have a loyal fan base in a city that could give two shits about football.
In West Hollywood, there's very few Rams fans, but I wish I had other friends. This is usually how it is at the bar. Like if this was a Rams game going on right now, it would be like me. It's literally just me.
Well, on the other hand, the 49ers have a huge fan base all across California, even in LA, because they've been the best team in California for generations now. So ask yourself a question. Do you think that all these fair-weather Rams fans will sell their NFC Championship tickets to rabid 49er fans who are willing to pay any price? Well, it's LA, baby. You know what's gonna happen. And the Rams know too. They actually tried to implement a rule that only allowed sales to the game to the greater LA area before rescinding it when they realized that it was hopeless. And the players and their wives are all over social media right now, desperately begging Rams fans not to sell their tickets to 49er fans. And this is just the ticket situation. I haven't even gotten into the matchup for the teams yet. Now, as I said before, Kyle Shanahan is riding a 6-game win streak up against Sean McVay's Rams, which is insane because McVay pretty much runs circles around everyone else in the league except for Shanahan. And that is most likely due because Shanahan used to be McVay's old boss. Yeah, McVay worked under Shanahan for years. Shanahan taught him a lot of what he knows. Here's a video of him, Shanahan, and Matt LaFleur, who's the head coach of the Packers, all on the same offensive coaching staff in Washington, D.C. They were on this staff for years. Kyle was the master, and LaFleur and McVay the disciples. And since they've all got head coaching gigs, it's still played out that way, with Shanahan now besting LaFleur both times they met in the playoffs. And of course, there's the aforementioned 6-game win streak versus McVay. But what about the players on the San Francisco 49ers? I haven't even talked about them at all. How have they made it this far? Well, offensively, their third-year wide receiver, Deebo Samuel, has blossomed into maybe the most unstoppable weapon in the NFL. And I mean weapon, because this man can catch, he can run, he actually has the speed to run past you, or he can truck you over. Hell, he can even throw the ball. He is the greatest Swiss Army knife in the NFL right now, and he has put this team offensively on his back for the second half of the season. Literally. But really, I think the main reason why they have gotten here is because of their defense. While Kyle Shanahan gets all these accolades for being this offensive wizard, their first-year defensive coordinator, D'Amico Ryans, should get a head coaching job after this season because he just has put on masterclass after masterclass this past month. First, shutting down Stafford and SoFi 3 weeks ago. Then, he shut down the best statistical offense in the league in Dallas. And just last week, he limited the reigning MVP, Aaron fucking Rodgers, to 10 points in Lambeau. Now, the defense is super talented. They have absolute game records in Eric Armstead and Nick Bosa destroying quarterbacks every game, and that helps a lot. And a nifty stat was they were the only team to enter into the playoffs that were ranked top 10 in both offense and defense. So they are the most well-balanced team remaining in the playoffs. And they have no pressure on them. They're playing with house money. No one thought they would be here, but they're getting hot at exactly the right time. And they wouldn't be the first wildcard team to just sneak in, get hot, and win it all. They got the talent, they got the coaches, and they have essentially what will be a home game up against a team they own to make it into their second Super Bowl in 3 years. But they're not without their faults, okay? Because their quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, is the best looking quarterback in the NFL. That has nothing to do with football. I just thought you should know. Oh, he's so good looking. He's also the worst quarterback remaining in the playoffs. Regularly turn the ball over once or twice a game, but for whatever reason, he wins. Like when you watch him play, it is a car wreck, but somehow they get dubs. A lot of people argue that they win in spite of Jimmy Garoppolo. And to his credit, he's yet to make the big mistake in the most crucial moments. But this is the playoffs, and it heightens pressure, and all it takes is one mistake at the crucial time, and it could turn the tide. There's also the sentiment that it's extremely difficult to beat a good team 3 times in the same season. But the pressure here is all on the Rams. It's their home stadium. They're playing for the chance to host the Super Bowl in their home stadium. They're the ones who spent big on the big name superstars. No one picked the 49ers to be here. Arguably, they don't deserve to be here. But you know what they say? Any given Sunday, any team can beat any team in the NFL. So sit back, relax, and pray for fireworks this Saturday and Sunday. Hopefully you enjoyed this little video getting you prepared for this absolute epic weekend. I'll be back next week to go ahead and preview the Super Bowl and cry tears of either joy or sadness for my beloved 49ers. And also, To all my Packer fans out there, I'm so sorry. Seriously, I'm sorry. We had no business winning that game. You guys deserve better. Oh, and to the Cowboys fans, you guys did deserve to lose. Like, you're not that good. So, get over it. And that is gonna be it from me. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, go ahead, smush your nipples into the like button right now. Thank you to all my patrons keeping me alive during this global pando and whatnot. Love all your faces. Oh, and I'm still looking for editors, guys. I'm sorry. It's just been really hectic this past month, but go ahead, send me your work either on Instagram at BMOnus or on Twitter at BMOnus as well. Until next time, wishing you guys all the best. Remember, stay humble, stay yourself, stay thick. America.